Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to Aeipathy for yet another deck review. I'm so excited today. I can't even contain myself. Oh my goodness. This deck, I have been waiting for this for weeks, months. It's been, oh my gosh, I'm just so thrilled. It's been a long time coming. This deck was on pre-order for quite a while. And you may have possibly seen other people who are already posting reviews. This did just get released today. I just got it today. But it's the US based release. And I believe that there's some other countries, namely Australia for sure, I believe, that got the deck sooner. So if you're seeing already things circulating around or that people have had this deck in particular for a bit, that would be why, because they are in another place or part of the world and I'm not. But my little corner of the universe now has access to this gorgeous, beautiful deck, and I'm so excited. Hopefully, you are excited too. If you love roses, this is absolutely the deck for you. I've spent the whole morning playing around with this deck, really just getting immersed in the content and the high quality. I have to tell you, this deck does not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. It is just it is speaking to my vintage heart and my Victorian soul so much. I love old-timey stuff, old-timey decks. It's not something you often see either anymore. Everything is taken a very modern, sort of new age, sort of less traditional, in my view, aesthetic in deck releases that have been coming out lately. But this is a very strong departure and return to again, like I said, more of that vintagey, Victorian-esque, just definitely a very far throwback to something that's a little bit more historically significant. It has a lot of rich history in the deck, in the guidebook itself regarding the roses that are selected, but we'll get into all of that in a moment. Let's go ahead and just get started. Before we begin, once again, thank you to everybody who makes it a point to come here and just listen to me talk about decks and cards that I love and just sort of spaz out for a moment about them or vibe out, I should say. I don't know, but I just enjoy it so much and people seem to really gravitate towards these videos. Here on YouTube, I also do pick a card readings as well with all of the decks that I purchase and show you here in these reviews. I then actually use them in, YouTube readings. So if you're interested in those, I have full playlists for pick a cards that are obviously featuring the decks that I will showcase here. But even if you just like deck reviews, no worries. And I just invite you, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. Of course, every YouTuber says that, but it's so important for content creators. It really helps to amass a following, of course, common sense, but also it just enables your channel to become more popular, for it to be more widespread and to reach a wider part of the collective. And that, of course, is my goal as well. So any bit that anyone who chooses to support me, that they choose to do in order to achieve that, it means the world. And I'm so happy to have you here. Again, just listening to me talk about roses today. So, Oracle of the Roses I'm going to say her name is Cheralyn Darcey. What a beautiful name. Also, I'm telling you, everything about this deck just exudes beauty and elegance, and it's not for everyone. If you're not even getting attracted to this imagery of the deep, red roses, it's very lovely energy. Romantic, obviously, with it being about roses, but it's got a botanical vibe, of course, being centered around a flower. If you're not interested in this imagery, then this is not the deck for you, because everything on the cover here alludes to what's inside of the deck. But that drew me in immediately, and it's fantastic and wonderful. And I also just absolutely love roses, because roses are my birth flower. Shout out to any other Cancers out there, because it's obviously your birth flower as well. But let's go ahead and get into this. First thing I notice when I look at this deck is, again, just how well done it is. Shout out also to Amazon. They did not actually dent up really badly any of my edges today with the decks. So usually I do always have an issue with one corner being really smashed in or something. This one arrived beautifully. So for packaging, let's begin there. Super high quality. You're going to see here with the camera angle that high shine, high gloss front. That's just the top of the box. We have a slightly metallic or metallicized or sort of gilded, there we go, gilded printing to the cover art to the titling, which also reminds me, it's very reminiscent of the gilded edging that they used on the actual cards. And we'll get to that, of course, in a little while. On the sides, you know, we have this just really simple kind of a design. This is made by Rockpool, same on both sides. 2-part box and plain box on the inside here, has a little bit of detailing of roses, but everything is really well done. The quality, the craftsmanship has been very well executed for this particular deck. Guidebook, let's get into that in just a moment, but I'll take a look and show you everything about the box first. You got a little sneak peek of the cards there. Obviously, Rockpool again. Back of the box is going to have details about the deck, of course, the roses, 44 divinely illustrated cards and guidebook. Vintage botanical artwork brings the rose archetype energies alive. I would say that's very accurate. These are vintage images, almost on some cards a little too plain or too dated looking to me, to be quite honest with you. But they all do have like this very, as you can see here, I'll hold it up, just this very like traditional and historical, almost looks like you're reading like an old botanical book. That's what the images remind me of. This beautiful detailing is on the side of the box. I really have to focus this for you. I apologize for the wobbliness, but I have to get this to focus because this is so stunning. All right, come on here. Sometimes cameras just decide what they're going to do, which differs from what we want them to do. There we go. Oh my goodness. And I almost didn't see this. I saw this like after I'd already been using it. And I'm just like, wow, what a stunning little detail. Again, that like gilding, that red tinged edging. Super, super cute. Really, really enjoying that. The cards themselves, I said, are gilded. They're perfect. But let's go ahead and jump into this guidebook. Really substantial, soft cover, but like a wealth of material and so, so well done. Really, really good imagery, nice, bright, vivid images. The actual text is very easy to read when you open things up. Table of contents, we have introduction, how to use the cards, about the roses and growing roses. And what's really interesting about this too is, as I was saying, you know, this is really literally all about roses. So if you're not a fan of roses, there's no appeal. There's nothing to draw you in with this deck because it's literally just going to be all about roses. It's going to talk about them. It's going to, you know, really highlight a lot of history about these particular roses that were chosen for each individual card. It's a wealth of information, but again, you have to be drawn into it and be, I guess, interested in the content. And if you are, then again, this is going to be wonderful. So we have the wild roses. It looks like the deck was divided into three different categories. So we have the wild roses, we have the old garden roses, and the modern garden roses. As such, at present, at the time of my creating this video, I haven't looked through the book completely, but I don't know what the distinction is between those. My guess being, you know, wild roses represent more wild varieties. Old garden roses are going to be maybe more vintage or heirloom botanicals, and then modern garden roses maybe are like the more recent ones. I'm not sure. At any rate, we have introduction here. Love how it even reads. It just reads so beautiful. So there's a little bit of background detailing that you can go ahead and review if you'd like to, or take a screenshot if you're interested in reading that. Just a little foreword by the author, Cheralyn. How to use the cards. So I love when there's a lot of, I guess, content and particular emphasis made onto how to use the deck, when an author or creator actually takes the time to really extend to you all of this really rich material about how to use their deck, how to acquaint yourself with it. Includes spreads, which obviously are present here. I just think it makes all the difference, because a deck can be super beautiful, but if you can't connect to it, it's not going to work for you. This is a deck that has been immediately resonating like deeply for me as soon as I opened it up. And what's really interesting too, which we'll see when we get into more of the card descriptions, they're very specific. I mean, you just wouldn't think you would get all of this content, material, information, insight, and clarity from like a deck about roses, but I swear to you, it's really great. Oracle readings. So it just again talks about how you can go ahead and work with the card decks. We have the Wild Rose spread, the Old Garden Rose spread, and the Modern Garden Rose spread. So maybe that's utilizing just one part of the card deck. I admittedly did not try those out just yet. Self-care and discovery journaling, a garden walk with the archetypes. I love that there's prompts here to go a bit deeper with the content, again, the material that's present in here, and how you can use this deck not just for divination, you know, to determine certain outcomes or answers to questions, but that you can also use it for, as it says, you know, journaling prompts and self-care and inner work, discovery, things along those lines, spiritual discovery, I should say. About the roses, I love, again, that there's so much history included about roses. If you didn't know any of this, which I certainly didn't, for example, roses being more than 70 million years old, that's amazing. So yeah, just a lot of information, and I wouldn't even know what to say other than like, it really just gives you like almost encyclopedic level information about these species of roses. And there's so many varieties of roses, I had no idea. So you learn a lot too. Even this is my favorite flower, and I didn't know any of this, and like half of this information and more I did not have any clue about. So you know, it's just so well written and very easy to digest. Also, there's no difficulty in terms of getting bored with the material or not feeling like you can connect to it and really take it in. It actually adds to the interpretive meanings, I feel, the intuitive meanings, especially when you read about the history of each species of rose on the card itself. When you're including and considering the actual book meaning, also helps to kind of frame how you arrive at your answers of what the card deck is telling you. A note about the information within. So she clearly loves gardening and botanical history, as it says. So anyway, she just did such a good job with this deck. Super, super beautiful. And then even a word on growing roses, buying a rose, things like that, which I think is so great because, again, this is like practical advice. And you'll see that even though this deck is dated and vintage in nature, it's very practical, very approachable, even in modern day. Look at, like, I would love to grow roses. I actually have roses where I live now, but I didn't plant them, and I don't really have to do much to take care of them. But like, if you wanted to, and I certainly do in the future, this gives you like a little mini gardening guide on how you can actually grow roses. So like, why not, right? That's such a beautiful little inclusion in this card deck, a very surprising added bonus for, again, an oracle deck. So here we have actually what it looks like when you get, you know, go to any one of the cards for the meaning. There's a lot going on here. So we have, of course, the deck picture. It's going to give you also, I want to close up on that for you. So you can see here that you're able to tell what type of, okay, you know, temperamental, that's all I can say. Gives you the type of category of rose that the particular species is. You get the name of the rose, the, I think, Latin terminology, the Latin name for it, the oracle meaning, of course. And again, these are so, so deep. They're really, really rich with information. You get the ethnobotanical archetype exploration. I really haven't found that to be too useful, but I guess it's nice to have for, you know, botany enthusiasts alike. You know, again, if you're really into flowers and gardening, that may be of more interest to you. That part I'm kind of not considering a whole lot. We then have botanical notes, and this is where you're going to get the history on that particular species, which is wonderful. And then plant energies, we have just some keywords of the meanings and uses, the deities they're associated to for that particular flower, and then the astrological or zodiac sort of equivalent association, which can be helpful, of course, because this is an oracle deck and you're reading it for divination purposes. And then you also have, of course, the name of the rose. Why I decided to bring that up last, and I'm just sitting down now for a moment, so forgive me. Hopefully you can still see. The reason why that's so great that they go ahead and give these cards such like sophisticated yet very practical names, nothing too flowery. So for this being a flower-based deck, nothing in here, none of the card names are actually too as I said, just like flowery or unrealistic and fantastical. They're all very grounded, down to earth. I think these are pretty much all going to be names or concepts that you understand, most people. The Democrat, the Pioneer, You can get even an intuitive interpretation just from the keyword of the card name, the Alchemist. Again, very practical, just straightforward names, which also makes this so approachable. The Challenger, really love that. So you'll find that the cards themselves are very easy to connect to. And there's 44 of them. And we have at the very back bibliography here. I love that the sources were cited. That's, again, just a way that the person, the author, creator, has really leveled things up and come through with a very beautiful deck that also is just very well executed in terms of the information, the accompanying material. It's so disappointing when the deck is amazing and the book kind of sucks, vice versa as well. So the fact that both of these things are wonderful is just great. About the author, Cheralyn Darcey. I'm just reading along with you if you happen to be looking. So yeah, ways to connect with her on social media. Fantastic, Cheralyn. Love it. But let's get into these cards because these are the real star of this entire review. And of course, we want to delve into these and have you get a look and see if you're interested in these. In case you're wondering, I'm taking minor pauses quickly. Apologize for that, but this is towards like the end of the day when I am recording this because I just couldn't wait. I didn't want to do my recording in the morning, which is when I usually create videos. So I've been talking all day and I'm getting very dry. So I'm just taking little pauses to hydrate. Okay. So this deck is stunning and hopefully you can peep that beautiful. There we go, right there. This is like a gorgeous metallic-y pinkish red edging, gilding, excuse me. It's coming up on screen very, very red. They're definitely more pink. So there we go, just like so. Very, very pink, beautiful. I have to say, I was a little disappointed because as you can see, I've only worked with these just a little bit today, but this is almost like how they came out of the box, like with a little bit of this gilding sort of rubbed off on the edges, which I wasn't too happy about. It was more so the top and bottom than it was the actual sides. So isn't that interesting? I don't know what that's about, why that would be. But at any rate, card backs are stunning. As you can see, there's this beautiful, they're very matte. They're very satiny on the back, like actually almost difficult to shuffle, to be quite honest with you. And they're also attracting a lot of dirt, or not dirt, but dust. So I apologize for that. But at any rate, again, coming off a little bit more red, but they're definitely like a beautiful, deep, almost burgundy reddish pink. And this like Victorian-esque rose design to the backs, which are just beautiful. I know those are going to stand up really great on camera. And here are the cards themselves, again, featuring the Democrat. And I want to get some additional lighting on this here for you. Hopefully you can see a little bit better now. I brought out the table today as well. Normally I do this with like a nice little white softened backdrop, but today this was fancy enough. I wanted to bring in the fancy table. So my imperfectly perfect table. Anyway, so this is the card deck itself. As you can see, as I stated, the images are slightly dated looking for some of these. They're a little bit plain. I feel like they could have been a little bit more dynamic. They're very muted and simple. So some of them aren't as pretty as I would have liked, but again, it gives that very vintage botanical feel of like you pulling out a book from the 1800s and the advent of colored photography or illustrations. Like that's kind of the vibe that this deck is bringing to us, but that's okay. They're still gorgeous. Again, you're going to have the card imagery first and foremost up top, pretty big, but also a lot of empty negative space here, which I just think, again, they could have made this a little bit more dynamic, could have made it a little bigger, a little more pronounced, something along those lines. But that's probably one of my only critiques. We have the designation of what type of rose it happens to be. In this case, with the Democrat, it's the wild rose. And we have, of course, the name of the rose, and then the type of rose it is, the species of rose, the card deck name, and then the rose name itself. So we have the Democrat, the Pioneer, the Alchemist, the Challenger, the Architect, the healer, the rebel, the flirt. That's a funny name, funny one. And I love, by the way, Briar Rose. I didn't know that that was a thing. If anybody is a Disney fan, Sleeping Beauty, and obviously they feature a rose in that story a little bit. Briar Rose was the name of one of the little fairies. We have the ancestor, the father, the scientist, the priest, the pioneer. Again, all just very practical, normal names. So funny. The loner, the companion, the knight, the mother. We're in the old rose garden now, as you can tell. The warrior, the child, the gardener, the creator, the heart, the artist, the lover, one of my favorite cards in this deck. Great meaning too. The mystic, we have the ruler, the liberator. These are also not fluffy at all. They're very, again, down to earth, solid. There's both negative and positive aspected cards here. So there's going to be well-rounded information and insights that come through. This is the explorer, the giver, the gambler. It's a fun one. The storyteller. Some of these are easier to intuit than others. The advocate. The storyteller was not something I was expecting, what I thought it was and what the book meaning was. So just be mindful of that as well. Caregiver. We're in the modern rose garden now. We have the self. This is a great card. The sensualist. The hero. The citizen. The jester, the outsider. This is probably one of the, it's not the main one, but one of the most rose-like looking rose cards of what we know a rose to be. The alchemist, the rescuer, the innovator. Here's that traditional rose. Beautiful. The sage and the seeker. I love how they also went with a botanical / spiritual vibe. Like, how do you make botanical cards be included in the esoteric sort of spiritual realm? And the sage is a really good example of that, as is the mystic. I think the seeker might be as well. But just know, again, this deck has done a great job of incorporating traditional themes, more spiritually minded themes, practicality. Again, it's very approachable for anyone. Botanical lovers, flower lovers, gardeners, those obviously that are into oracle decks. Even if you did not ever read with this deck, I would say this is a great one for anybody who just appreciates beautiful imagery. Collectors. Collectors base their interests on the deck appeal in terms of the imagery and the artistry and the work of the actual graphics. And so I would say this is one that is definitely meant for the collective, the collectors out there in the collective, because of the fact that it's so well done and it's just so unique. There's nothing else I've seen like this either. If you love roses, it's incredible. I actually came across this deck because I was looking up, I typed in Rose Oracle, and I had bought the Rose Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell, which is her newest oracle. That came out maybe about a month ago. I did do a deck review on that as well. But that is a totally different, again, doing full justice to the rose and just really loving that sort of incantation. But this is a completely different direction. It's more traditional. It's just very, there's something very like homey and welcoming. And again, vintagey things really speak to me. So if you're someone who's a fan of that, this is definitely going to work well for you as well. So it's nice having both decks, because even though they're both based on roses, on the same element, the same theme, the same flower, very specifically, they're very, very different. And this one, I have to say, is probably one of my absolute favorites I've ever owned. So it's incredible. With that said, let's take a quick moment to speak about quality. Again, the card edges have begun to not so much the sides, but definitely the top and bottom, they've begun to sort of wear away a little bit. Otherwise, these cards are pretty solid, I have to say. So the back are very matte. They're very satiny. They're a little bit difficult to shuffle as a result of that. The front, though, the front of the cards, I almost won't be able to pick this up on camera, but they have like a slightly like laminated feel. They're very thick. I think you can kind of sort of get a feel for that. They're very, very thick, and they have like this like thick look to them that's also glossy yet like laminated, like not high gloss. It's like a semi-matte satin gloss hybrid with like a laminated sort of a appeal to it. It's so hard to pick up on camera, so just trust me that they're definitely unique and different from other decks. And they're just great. I've really, really loved working with this deck that I so far have done today. Just a little bit of a few of my own individual freeform spreads, just some basic questions. It's answered everything, including clarifiers, all with just the Oracle deck super, super well. Again, highly recommended. I think it's incredible. It is definitely something different than anything else that's out there. And especially being a mass marketed product, I'm just really, really impressed. I think it's just amazing, and they've done such a good job. If you love roses, once again, I cannot recommend this enough. If you bought one Oracle deck for the rest of your life, you had to choose just one, this would be a pick. If you're like me and you love vintage things, you love Victorian artistry and imagery and roses and florals and just beautiful things, historically, significant things. I love when they merge history at a time when, spirituality wasn't so widely accepted like it is now, with spirituality and divination in present day, and make it work and just bring new life. Even though this is something that's more aged and dated looking, it brings new life, because everything that's coming out lately is just so cookie cutter, and it's so basic, or it's so similar to the last deck that you bought. I'm not going to name any names, but there's just a lot of, again, very kind of like, I'm trying to be careful with my words. Just basically, there's a lot of decks out there that follow a very similar format to each other, and they lack inspiration. They lack the quality and the depth of information and just the passion that goes into a deck when you can tell the creators just really put a lot into it. So I would say Cheralyn Darcey's deck is a winner. I just mentioned Rebecca Campbell's version of the Rose Oracle. That is also phenomenal, and she's done a fantastic job also with her rendition and how she put her best efforts into her, again, version of a Rose Oracle deck. So I tend to gravitate towards, not that those other decks don't have a lot of value and merit as well, but I tend to gravitate towards decks that are just very unique in nature. And those are the ones I also choose most often to bring to you here in a deck review. If it's really like unique and out there, different, if I've been anticipating it for a while and it meets all of my expectations and exceeds them at that, then I think it's worthy of doing a full, video about them. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. I would highly, highly suggest that you go ahead and get yourself a copy of The Oracle of the Roses by Cheralyn Darcey if you can. It is retailing right now for, I believe, $22. And again, it just did get released today. Currently, depending on your area, I believe it's 1-day shipping. I'm not compensated for these reviews at all. These are just honestly my thoughts, my opinions. I'm sharing decks with you that I love. However, I am an Amazon affiliate, so full disclosure, I do provide an affiliate link to the products that I review if they are available on Amazon, and that link is going to be in a pinned comment down below if you would like to purchase the deck or are planning to anyway. Utilizing that link is just a nice, easy way. It's a free way for you, since you're going to make a purchase anyway, to support the channel. I'm bringing more content to you like this, and also to be able to bring more decks. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. I am going to now go ahead and take a moment to clear the table. I'll return with a mini pick a card, which I love to do at the end of my deck reviews. You can feel free to stay tuned for that if you're interested in more seeing how the Oracle cards read and work in practice. If not, I'm wishing you a wonderfully fabulous day, positive, rosy, just loving vibes. I'm feeling so abundant today and in such a great mood. I hope you are too. Hopefully I'll see you next time. And if you're staying tuned for the mini pick a card, then just 1 second, I'll be back with you and we'll have a mini message from the Oracle of the Roses by Cheralyn Darcey. As you can see, we're now at the mini pick a card portion of the deck review rather, in which I go ahead and select a few piles, which you can choose from as a viewer, and see how the deck reads first and foremost, if you are interested in including it in your own divination practice or your collection if you are a collector, or if you just love mini pick-a-cards. I obviously use all of the decks that I review on my channel for full pick-a-card readings. This is my way of kind of giving you a mini bonus at the end of the deck review video. And if you're interested in a message featuring this beautiful Oracle of the Roses, then stay tuned. Select a pile for your reading from Spirit utilizing the Oracle of the Roses by Cheralyn Darcey. Pile 1, we are going to be using the Rose Quartz Tower Point. Pile 2 is the Just Clear Quartz Heart, and pile 3 is the Aura Coated Quartz Point. Go ahead and select over whichever crystal is calling to you most, whichever pile is calling to you most, drawing you in. You can even select from the timestamps. I include those, of course, for that portion of the reading. In fact, you'll see that I do the entire deck review video by chapter, so you can skip right to whatever area you're interested in. And there's, of course, timestamps there as well that you can refer to in selecting your pile. I will meet you at your crystal selected and your pile picked in just a moment for your message from the Oracle of the Roses. Hi, pile 1. You were drawn to this beautiful rose quartz. I feel like that was so awkward I didn't say anything for a moment. I was putting another pile to the side. So at any rate, this is your mini pick a card reading featuring the Oracle of the Roses by Cheralyn Darcey. And let's go ahead and take a look at what cards you selected today. I did keep the guidebook out for handy reference because, full disclosure, this deck is a little bit interesting to read. While you do have obviously some really nice keywords, some very practical keywords for the card names, as I mentioned in the deck review, they still don't give a whole lot of depth, and there's a lot in this book. This is a very, it's a very in-depth and I think expansive sort of a guidebook, especially, you know, in considering the content that is found, and, you know, it's roses, right? So there's not much sometimes that you can gather. I've noticed from reading just the card itself, there's not like a little keyword other than just, you know, this main name of the card itself. So I'm probably going to be reading the meanings out of the book, not only just for interpretation purposes, but so you can get the author's words on this deck as well, because they're beautiful. And while we're talking about card names, I knew I wasn't crazy. When I was flipping through all of the cards, I thought to myself, there's a few that are repeats, I swear. And there is no mention anywhere that I could tell in the guidebook why this is. There's 2 alchemist cards and there's 2 pioneer cards. There's literally 2 separate cards. It's not a typo. It's not an error as far as I can tell. Number 3 and number 40 in this deck are both named the alchemist. They have different, as far as I can tell, they have different species of roses for them. But, you know, I promise you. So like, for example, the pioneer is card 2, prickly rose. However, it is also card 13, the prairie rose. And similarly, once again, so this card right here is the alchemist, which is the barberry leaved rose. And it's also card 40, which is a totally different species, the Mim Caroline test out rose. So I don't understand why that is, why the deck creator did that. It's a little interesting and also slightly confusing, but I mean, hey, I may reach out to her to get an answer on that. And if I do, I'm going to update people because I just think that's so interesting. At any rate, pile 1, let's get into your reading. You have first and foremost card 27, which is the Liberator. It is the Mille de Sombril rose. I do not speak French, so I butchered that. It's an old garden rose. You have another old garden rose, the Mother, card 17, which is an old blush rose featuring. And you also have a wild rose here, card 3, as we discussed, the Alchemist, which is the barberry leaved rose. Intuitively speaking, and I want to make sure these are in shot and look all right on camera, and they're slightly crooked, which is going to bug me, so I'm going to just do that, and that should look a little better. Great. So, in just intuitively kind of honing into the energies present here, I would say that the message is all about, you know, the Liberator is about freedom. It's about choice. It's about taking control. The Mother energy is symbolic of this old blush rose card, card 17. which is also the energy of number 8, 17 reducing to 8, which is energy of the strength card in tarot. It's all about having that inner resilience. The mother is the nurturer, the caregiver, the caretaker. There's somebody who, if you think about who has often a lot of responsibility or obligation and who tends to care for others and be concerned with and responsible for others, you think of a mother figure. And so this is about, I think, I'm not reading this as like freeing yourself from your mother. If that's your message, then by all means, it's very straightforward. But in other contexts, what this is reading like to me is that you're needing to free yourself, to come to a place of peace, of contentment, and just of achieving freedom and balance within in regards to perhaps your responsibilities, as I said, your obligations, maybe your obligations towards others, or if not, just for yourself, and give yourself that time and space, the grace to be able to achieve that balance. The alchemist here, all about alchemy. Obviously, that's temperance style energy. Number 3, also related back to the energy of the Empress, which is about creation and abundance. You probably are feeling a little blocked right now, pile 1, from achieving abundance because, again, things are out of balance. You need to have that freedom. You need to have that ability to, I'm just getting a strong sense of step into more of a direct leadership role, but being responsible and leading your own life, being responsible for self and not so much tending to the needs of others all the time. Now, by all means, please don't think that I'm telling you, like, especially if you're an actual mother, that I don't want you to care for your children, especially if they're minors. That's not at all the message. The message here, of course, though, is that with everything, we need to have a nice balance and an alignment within life. So it's looking here like there's a little bit of things that are out of balance, that are lacking a little bit of stability for you, pile 1. But let's go ahead and take a look in the book as well and just get a feel for what these energies are according to the actual creator. So we have, and I'm going to read these for you, they're short enough. The Liberator, which is card 27, it says, sometimes you need to act and even make decisions completely alone. And though this takes courage, it does ensure that what you are creating for the future is completely in line with your values. There is a new hope, breakthrough, or opportunity coming, but along the way, there is also the chance of a false hope. So be astute in your choosing. The Liberator has a strong, optimistic nature that ensures that can carry. That doesn't sound right. The Liberator has a strong, optimistic nature that ensures they can carry, there we go, the torch of justice and freedom forth for others to be rallied by. They do not give up and will always find a way to make inroads to the outcomes that are true, just, and needed. It represents optimism, justice, freedom, trust, and hope, and it is associated with the sign of Libra. So again, it's about achieving balance, and it does say that there is a hope, breakthrough, or opportunity coming. So again, I think there's an opportunity here for you to really step out of a role of needing to be sort of weighed down or overwhelmed by others, to take more ownership and command of your own life, again, in a very aligned, balanced way, and for there to be some alchemy, some good energy flowing in for you, pile 1. Card 17, which is the Mother card, says you are being asked to deepen your faith and beliefs, to look back at where you came from and strengthen connections with the place you began, to mend what needs mending, and even to create new connections. No past can truly be completely left behind. Take some additional self-care and self-love opportunities. Something remains and it must be healed or absorbed in some way. The Mother nurtures without condition and loves without question. They know that no one is beyond the healing strength that comes from being earthly or divinely mothered. And the meanings associate to compassion, love, and persistence, patience, and strength. And again, I even said that related to that strength energy with reducing to number 8. It is associated with the astrological sign Cancer, which also makes perfect sense. And I love this because, Cancers are the mothers of the zodiac. They are the best mothers. They are the nurturers, regardless of gender. And the Queen of Cups, even in tarot, which is Cancerian energy, she is kind of like the divine mother. Of course, the Empress is depicted as well, and she's actually pregnant in the tarot. But in terms of the court cards, especially in the actual suits, the Queen of Cups is that mother energy. So again, it also had indications of taking time for self-care, self-love. It's very important that, you heal, that you nurture self, and that it says The mother nurtures without condition and loves without question. So this is about, again, support of others, but also of yourself, and extending that support that you've given to others in recent time to yourself, and giving yourself that grace. And I think allowing yourself to be free and to pursue things that meet your needs and that are going to satisfy your soul. It's important that we all liberate ourselves from anything that holds us back. There's a very strong energy tied to the past here as well, maybe breaking free from something that no longer serves you. And then this energy, which I'm feeling very excited about, of the alchemist, which is number 3. Before you, there may be paths to choose from and problems to deal with, or a blankness that needs to be filled, and this will only be solved by your own hand. Your perspective is vital and has ultimate bearing on the next move, but use that power wisely, as movements that are unbound by natural laws are usually short-lived celebrations of glittery magic and emptiness. The alchemist crafts from what is already here and with the resources that are available. They trust in their own natural abilities and the possibilities and intuitions inherent within themselves and others. It symbolizes transformation, intuition, magic, skill, and ability, and it is associated, I'm having a lot of trouble with my words here. It's associated to this sign of Scorpio. So scorpionic energy is going to be very guarded and very secretive and deep. You know, there's a depth to Scorpios. And so what I think here, again, this is also referencing the idea here with this alchemist card. It talked about, needing to come into balance. It even said here, and I want to bring it up just one more time, the alchemist crafts from what is already here and with the resources that are available. Trust in your own natural abilities. So I think it's important that you do trust, pile 1. It's really saying here that there could be a blanket of things that you're sort of glazing over, or maybe, again, focusing your priorities in the wrong place. And you need to start focusing that motherly self-love, that nurturing energy on your own life, freeing yourself from things that are binding or that no longer really speak to your soul or are serving your highest good. It's time to alchemize, work with what you have. It's very important that you trust in the abilities that you, I guess, have innately within, but also the universe. The universe always has your back, and you are source energy. You are divine. Your inner being especially is always going to ensure that you're on the right path. And so you just have to trust that, pile 1. The alchemist is here to say that you can absolutely achieve that balance that you're going for. You can have better times. The liberator, again, speaking to that hopefulness, that breakthrough that is coming, that opportunity for growth, expansion, and alignment. So that's really exciting energy. Hopefully, pile 1, that has resonated for you. This was the mini message for you, courtesy of the Oracle of the Roses by Cheralyn Darcey. If you have enjoyed this video and this mini pick a card reading, I invite you to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and to go ahead and scroll through, peruse all of my playlists of full pick a card readings. They're all centered around love energy, healing, high vibrational living, just really, really good stuff. So I would enjoy and so love for you to connect with me there in one of my other videos. And until next time, pile 1, I hope you take great care. Bye-bye. Hi, pile 2, and welcome to your mini pick a card reading, courtesy of the Oracle of the Roses Oracle deck by Cheralyn Darcey. You were drawn to this gorgeous aura-coated quartz point, so we'll set that guy right over there, and we'll take a look at what your cards were that you selected today. First, we have the Pioneer, and this is so interesting because in pile 1, as I said before doing the cards, I knew I wasn't crazy. I was going through and kind of flipping, during the deck review portion of the video, and I was selecting each card and saying the card name, and I was like, there's a few that I feel are very, very familiar. I don't hardly know this deck yet, and yet I feel like I've said them already. And as it turns out, there actually are 2 duplicates in this deck. I have no idea why that is, with the Pioneer being 1. So the first duplicate is obviously the Pioneer. It's card 13, and here it, of course, is the Prairie Rose. But then it is also, I believe, card 2, which is the Prickly Rose. Totally different species. Again, there's no mention in the book, as far as I can tell, as to why this would be. I'll have to get some clarity on that, because that's a little bit of a puzzling, sort of a conundrum to me. Why would you name multiple cards in the deck the same thing. And it happened twice, which is so odd. Like, it's not like an error where you just had it happen once or, what have you. But at any rate, the other duplicate is the Alchemist, card 3, which is the Barberry Leaved Rose. And it's also card 40, which is the Caroline Test Out Rose. Interesting, huh? At any rate, I also have the guidebook that I have kept out to refer to because, as I also said for pile 1, these cards are very practical in nature with their card names, but there's not a whole lot of keyword, I guess, play for intuitive interpretation that you can go off of with these cards. So I just want to have the book handy. I'll provide an intuitive interpretation of the cards, but I also just want to go ahead and read the book meanings for you straight from the guidebook. It's very well written so that you can also get a feel from the creator themselves what they intended for the meaning of these cards, these gorgeous, gorgeous cards. We also have card 18 for you, which is the Warrior. Beautiful card of yellow, solar plexus energy, your power center, your trigger center, and your personal power. And then card 12, which is the Priest. These are very interesting energies here. The Priest kind of gives me Hierophant vibes. So there could definitely be something that, the Hierophant obviously relates to organizations and strictness, rigidity, institutions. It could pertain to religion, obviously, with the priest being a figure within religion. There's some type of, it feels restriction in your life. Now, this could be literal and be related to religion, or it could be more, metaphoric and relate to just some type of, I guess, limitation or restrictive energy that's present in your current life circumstances. And this is about kind of overcoming and overpowering those energies and setting out on a new path. The pioneer here, if you think about pioneers in history, they were settlers and they were individuals that sought out new lands and new experiences and went on journeys that no one else had done before. They were the first to do it, and that's a very risky endeavor. You have no idea what you're coming up against. You have no idea what you're going to experience and what you're in for. But it's about having that courage, again, that warrior spirit, that really strong energy. Also, I think of the sun with the yellowness of the roses, and the sun is yang energy, masculine, assertion, power, just beautiful energy of even like Leo, strength. There's so much like beauty coming off of this warrior card in terms of resiliency and power and strength and just a beautiful confidence about life. So I really think that that's coming for you. You're on the cusp of it. I think what Spirit is trying to say here is to really go for it, to take that leap, to pursue a new path or a new way and kind of leave behind something else that's been long-standing or very firmly in place. If we think about the idea and the concept of religion has been around for centuries. Beyond that, I mean, it's been around forever. It's one of the oldest doctrines that exists. And if it's not serving you, if it's not aligning with your values and your truth, you have to, pile 2, seek what is going to speak to you most. Let's go ahead and refer to the book and just get a feel for what the creator wants to share in terms of these card meanings. And I will read them straight from the book. We have the Pioneer, which is card 13, the Prairie Rose. Take the chance as an adventure awaits, and perhaps even a new opportunity is about to unfold before you. While the unknown may seem a little strange and even invoke fear, it is only your safety mechanisms engaging to keep you safe as you step forward. There may be something hidden from you so that the bigger picture is obscured, but a little work and closer observation should uncover it. The pioneer embraces new ideas and is not fearless, but rather takes on the possibilities of their imagination with careful and considered determination. Its meanings include beginnings, innovation, exploration, dedication, and strength. And it is associated with the sign of Aries. So again, firepower. Aries are definitely very assertive energies. So they're definitely calling you here. Spirit is encouraging you, pile 2, to step forward into a new path, to take that beautiful energy of, again, assertion, of just personal power, and to not be afraid, to not be fearful. Spirit has your back as always. We have card 18 as well, the Warrior, which is the Marshall Neil Rose. I butchered that, I'm sure. This could represent a challenge in which you need to step up, stand up, and speak up, but the energy to fight will only come for something that is worth the battle. There may be a slowing of outcomes or a delay in a hoped-for occurrence or resolution, but all the same, nothing is lost just yet. Be careful to pick your battles and don't get caught up in the drama that will bring you no personal long-term joy and comfort. The warrior develops skill, is loyal and true to the cause they are aligned with, and makes planned actions towards the goals they are looking to reach. It is associated with protection, adaptability, skill, loyalty, and discipline. And it is also associated with the sign of Aries. So you may definitely be in Aries. Not often does that happen where each card is associated with one particular astrological sign. So if that is your zodiac association, or if you have Aries anywhere in your chart, you need to call on that power, pile 2, or just tap into the energies of fire sign energy, because that is something very strongly coming through for you today, that you need to step into that personal power. For card 12, the priest, it is the Moise rose. Working with a guide that takes a more holistic view may be something to explore at the moment. Values, personal and those of others, should be examined to see not only where they align, but of what worth or damage those that do not may pose. Group membership. So again, the idea of the Hierophant and that organizational, institutionalized energy. Group membership, discussion, and study are a force that is indicated, along with the possibility of sharing your personal truths and research with others. The priest cares for others, but the most important role is in setting aside time, space, and people to develop a dedication to the energies beyond the ordinary everyday. It is associated with ritual, devotion, belief, community, and promises. It is associated also with the sign of Taurus. So here it also is expanded to include the meaning of community and of support with others. So it may not necessarily be something you're stepping away from. I do get that meaning for a lot of you that may be viewing this pile. But for others of you, this may be you stepping into your own spiritual practice, or setting out on a journey of engaging with a new community. And again, you're being called here to really pursue a new path. So whatever that relates to, it does have indications of being closely connected to collaborating with others. That's a really strong message here as well. But the power, the personal power that is accompanying the warrior spirit here, the warrior card with that yellow rose, that beautiful energy again of the sun and of strength, Leo energy, Aries, as we indicated here with both of these cards. You need to tap into that fiery spirit within that you possess in order to branch out and take a new leap of faith, start a new creative endeavor, a passion project. There's just something on the horizon for you, pile 2, that really needs your attention, and that's going to help you set on a new course, help you align with your truth and support others as well in the process with that community card of the priest. So pile 2, I so hope you've enjoyed this mini pick a card reading courtesy of the Oracle of the Roses deck by Cheralyn Darcey. If you have enjoyed this reading, I would love for you to go ahead and support the channel by subscribing if you haven't already done so. And feel free also to go ahead and have a look, peruse over all of my pick a card readings in the various playlists I have available for you. They are all centered on love energy, healing, high vibrational living, meant to promote clarity and awareness, of course, in a very loving, compassionate, yet direct way. This mini pick a card that I've done here is what I do in these full videos of all of those readings that are available. And so I would love to connect with you over there in another of those full-length pick a card readings. And also stay tuned, because I'm going to be using this deck and incorporating the Oracle of the Roses in those full pick a card readings. So stay tuned for that, when those will be making their appearance on the channel in a, like I said, full pick a card video. But until next time, pile 2, hopefully I will see you again. Until then, I am sending you so much loving energy, supporting you throughout this new endeavor that you're going to be taking on. Heed the words of spirit, and hopefully things will turn around for you soon. Take care, pile 2. Bye-bye. Pile 3, I just realized this actually as I finished up pile 2's reading. I flip-flopped the crystals. The cards and the crystal were for pile 2, but I put that as pile 3 right now, and I just did pile 3 as pile 2. So if you're really drawn to the crystal for pile 3, then I would invite you to check out pile 2's reading. But if you were really drawn to this particular crystal or the timestamp that's associated with this pile 3 now, that was pile 2, then stick around. Apologize for that, but that happened one other time and it wasn't a mistake. So I'm going to just take it as a lovely little coincidence, or synchronicity, as Tyler Henry says, this time as well. You were drawn to, at any rate, at any rate, it's the end of the day, my goodness, the clear quartz heart. And let's go ahead and take a look at what messages the Oracle of the Rose has for you today with the cards you chose. So we have card 8, the Flirt, which is the Sweetbriar Rose. We have card 40, which is the Alchemist, and I have to tell you about that card in a moment. And we have 42, the Innovator, with that beautiful, they're calling it the Hoosier Beauty Rose. It's like the most traditional version of the rose that we all know and love. So what's interesting about this is that this actually is the second of 2 Alchemist cards in this deck. I just noticed this after I did the full deck review and then got into the pick a card portion of the video. So we actually have in this deck, and it's not a typo, 2 versions of 2 like archetypes or 2 keywords. So this is the second of 2 Alchemist cards in this deck. The first, as you can see here, is card 40, which is the Cheralyn Test Out Rose. But the Alchemist is also in this deck. Card 3, a completely different species, the Barberry Leaved Rose, which was featured in pile 1, I believe. Like, why? I don't understand. I have actually no idea. There's no reference point to go off of right now, as far as I can tell, why the creator would have done this. And just for reference, just to kind of give you an idea. So then we also have card 13 is the Pioneer, the Prairie Rose. And it's also card 2, which I believe was featured, the Pioneer. One of these was featured in pile 2, but the Prickly Rose. So I have no idea why that is. But at any rate, I may get some clarity on that and then let everyone know, because I'm curious. But the guidebook is still wonderful, and I want to keep that just kind of, you know, table side here if I need to reference it, because as much as I explained in the other piles, the keywords are very practical and very easy to follow, and you should know and be able to get some intuitive impression based upon what they say. They just don't have a whole lot of depth for me in terms of intuitive reading. And I also want to give you the words straight from the creator on the meaning of these cards as well. So I'll provide my intuitive interpretation, but then I'll also go ahead and read from the book and give you that meaning as well. So here we have the Flirt, card 8, the Alchemist, number 40, and then 42, the Innovator. This is totally love energy all day long. Spirit wants you to know that there is a love connection, a soul-based connection. There's some important individual in your life that is going to actually be returning, and there's going to be some beautiful alchemy and balancing out or coming together, a reunion, it feels like to me, between these energies of you and your person. It's going to start off very lighthearted. I do think that you're hoping for something a little bit deeper, a little bit more serious up front. It does feel like you're in disconnect, that there is a separation or some type of a breakup energy. There's a definite emotional distance between you at this time, between you and this other person, this energy that we are picking up here for this message from Spirit. However, it does look like, again, there's going to be a blossoming. Look at how these roses are in full bloom. This is the rose that everyone knows and loves, that's associated with romance and love. And it's fully bloomed open. It's beautiful. It's red. There's a few underdeveloped buds here, but look at this gorgeous blossoming of that huge rose that's just unfurling and unfolding into this gorgeous, gorgeous flower. So I do think that that's going to happen fairly intensely, although it may be, again, a little slow. There may be some underdeveloped areas that need to come into balance and develop in their own time in slow progression. There is going to be a lot of intensity, a lot of passion, and again, this beautiful alchemy of balance and of sweetness and peace between you. And again, I get reconciliation energy strongly coming from this. I'm just going to check my time here. Apologize for the wobbliness, and we are good. So let's go ahead and refer to the book, pile 3, to see what else we can get from the creator themselves on these energies. For the Flirt, we have, it's the Sweetbriar Rose. Opening your heart to a more playful and lighter outlook on what is before you will allow you the space to see beyond any negativity clouding your judgment. Go through all options, even those that may seem rather remote, before making your decision. It is too easy to let something that seems good at the time to get away from you, and for this to become your long-term and perhaps not substantial enough reality. The Flirt may know how to connect with others through a veil of lightness, but beware of what is on offer in exchange for the attention. It is associated with charm, playfulness, attention, connection, and confidence. And it is associated also with the sign of Gemini. So Geminis are very bubbly. They're very friendly, extroverted. They're fun. They're just a fun sign. Again, this is going to be very lighthearted. It does say there's a warning here to be concerned, or I guess mindful of what's on offer. So if this is not something that is an energy that you can personally play ball with, I guess, for lack of a better term, pile 3, just be mindful of that. But if you can, loosen up the reins a little bit, get into your center, stay grounded, and allow this person to come back in how they present, as long as they're well intended. Keeping it light is actually to your benefit, is what Spirit is saying here. Card 40 as well, which is the second of 2 Alchemist cards. The Cheralyn Test Out Rose. Time for change, leaving something behind and casting off the energies, people, and activities that no longer serve you. Standing alone may be the way to find the answers you seek, and you are also in the position to help others find clarity and divine wisdom to enrich and powerfully change their lives. Do not be hesitant in sharing. The alchemist usually has an aura of the mysterious and the magical about them. And magical is spelled Magickkal. Very interesting. But they are grounded individuals who affect change through their deep understanding of their own intuition. Its meaning is transformation, knowledge, power, intuition, and magic, again with a K. Astrological association is Sagittarius, so the planet of fun and of good times and of keeping things also lighthearted here. It says that it's time for change. Again, I think the change is reconciliation, of leaving any kind of negativity and baggage behind. That was also indicated in that flirt energy card. I really think that there is going to be some better times ahead for you, pile 3, with your person of interest. Unless I'm excited to get to the innovator card, because I know that that one is a lovely energy. So let's go ahead and get right to it and see what the book has to say about that. Card 42, the innovator, which is the Hoosier Beauty Rose. Action needs to be undertaken now before the plans of others take over. Be careful with your ideas and who you trust, as you do have something special to work on, and that opportunity needs to be protected. Look closely before you leap, but a new clarity will help resolve any clouded facets soon. The innovator is a planner who is good at problem solving and giving clarity to areas that may have proved challenging for others. They provide fresh eyes and insight when they are on board, and once they begin, their action is hard to slow down and impossible to stop. Its meanings include construction, practicality, insight, plans, and clarity, and it is associated with the sign of Pisces, so very deep, watery energy for you, pile 3. Again, this is also about taking action, about things unfolding, unfurling and blooming into that beautiful, like abundant, gorgeous, romantic energy. I really strongly feel like that's what's being said today for you. Spirit wants you to know just to hang tight a little longer. This person is going to present for you on offer, I think, something that's going to be really engaging, very lighthearted yet sweet, and it's going to provide you with this brand new beginning of just lovely, abundant, beautiful energy. So pile 3, I so hope you've enjoyed this reading, that it's been fun for you. A little bonus, as I said, that I like to do at the end of all of my deck reviews. It allows you to see how the deck reads, and it also, of course, allows you to get a feel for what my full pick a card readings are like, which I have many, many videos of in multiple playlists that you can feel free to peruse on my channel. They're all based on love energy. They're intended for healing, high vibrational living, really, really good things. Directly from Spirit. I just did a Spirit messages, source messages reading yesterday. That's wonderful. You can also check out readings for your person if you're interested in those types of insights as well, what they're feeling, their intentions, all sorts of, again, love-based energy. And if nothing else, I intend to continue to do these deck reviews as well. Feel free to check out that playlist if you'd like to. I hope to connect with you over one of those other videos, pile 3. Until then, I'm sending you so much abundant, loving energy. I'm so excited for you. This was a beautiful reading. And until next time, pile 3, take great care. Bye-bye.